This is not live, so no problem. On the occasion of 75 years of Indian independence, there are few themes given by Vivekananda Kendra, and I have chosen a theme of literature of ancient India. Concept of speech in the light of Vak Suktam of Rigveda is the topic of my deliberation today. Since I am dealing with Vak Sukta, I would like to invoke the goddess of learning, the goddess of eloquence, Bhagavati Saraswati. Ya Devi Sita Pankaja Sanavara Seenakshamalakara Veena Jhankriti Nashta Sarva Jadata Smera Prafullanana Ya Vakyartha Pada Pramana Vibhava Ya Sarva Bhashatmika Tam Vachamadhidevatam Bhagavatim Vande Sada Bharatim. Hari Om to all, and let me just walk you through the concept of speech in the light of Vak Suktam of the Rigveda, the ancient most literature of the world. Since I invoked Goddess Saraswati, I may tell you that Saraswati is one of the synonyms for Vak. What is the meaning of Saraswati? Saraswati is Saras plus Vati. Saras means water, Saro Neeram, Tadvat Rasahava Asti Asyaha Iti Saraswati. So, like water, which is freely flowing, the essence of which is freely flowing, that is Saraswati, which is the goddess of learning, goddess of eloquence, which flows across to all the mankind. She is said to be born from Brahmadeva's Sattvaguna. You all know Brahmadeva or Brahma is the creator, the Vidhata of the entire universe. When in his deep meditation and all his Sattvaguna was an Utkarsha, the sublime quality, that time Saraswati was born. She is also called as Brahmani, which could be stated to be the personified feminine creativity or creative energy of Brahma himself. She is the goddess of arts, she is the goddess of music, she is the goddess of Nada. We saw Veena Jhankriti Nashta Sarva Jadata. By her mere jhankar of Veena, all the Jadata of Buddhi, the Buddhimandya, is removed, it is washed off. She is also called Bharati from Bhru Bharane. She is the one who nourishes all the people through the words, through the speech. Bhagavan Shankaracharya praises her as Veena Pustaka Ranjita Haste Bhagavati Bharati Devi Namaste. Veena Pustaka Ranjita Haste. She holds in her hand a pustaka, a book, a manuscript, and a veena. She plays on veena. That's why she is the goddess of arts, all the performing arts for that matter, especially music, which is Nada. Even when there are no words, there is that Nada, that Laya, and she is the Devi of that. She is the language personified, and language, we all know, is the vehicle of culture. So, Saraswati, the speech, speaks about Indian culture as well. In fact, there is a verse which gives you all the synonyms of speech from Shabdakalpadruma. Brahmi tu Bharati Bhasha, Gihi Vak Vani Saraswati, Vyaharaha Uktihi Lapitam, Bhashitam Vachanam Vachaha. So, all these are synonyms of words, synonyms of speech. Who is Vak? Literally speaking, in reality, it's an abstract entity. When personified, it is Devi Saraswati, who is Veena Vadini, who is Hausavahini or Mayuravahini or Kamalasanastha, but it is an abstract entity. It's all powerful, omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient. It is of the nature of knowledge, science, omniscient, sarvajnatva. And because it is the principle of consisting of three omnis, omnipresence, omnipotence, and omniscience, this entity is stated to be the controller of the entire world. Adhishwari. Vak is called Adhishwari. She is Prathama. She is born in the very first place, at the very outset. She Chinmayi, of the nature of consciousness, of the nature of knowledge. Aitareya Brahmana says, Vagvai Tvashta. Vak herself is as if Tvashta. Who is Tvashta? Tvashta is stated to be, you can say, the carpenter, the artist of the gods. The word is derived from the root Tvish, Tvishadiptau. And Vak is called Tvashta. She is the creative energy. She is the architect of the entire structure which is created on the basis of language. And she is Tvishadiptau. She shines as the creative energy. Prajapatirvai Vakpatihi. And who is the Lord of Vak? He is the Prajapati or Brahma, as we saw just few minutes back. Yajnavalkya tells King Janaka, this comes in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, that the light of speech is the nearest to that of Brahman. Brahman is of the nature of light. And which is that light which comes near to Brahman? Is it the moonlight? Is it the sunlight? No. It is Shabdabha, Shabda Prakasha. And therefore light of speech is the nearest to that of Brahman. You can go to Bhartruhari, who says that Shabda is Brahman itself. He propounded the theory of Shabda Brahman. Why? Because everything starts with speech. What is speech? Articulated sound. These are just the dhvanis, the phonemes, but when they are articulated, vyarhita, then that becomes a language. Sound is, as it is noted to be, the subtlest of the elemental qualities. The 5 elements are Prithvi, Up, Tej, Vayu and Akash. And in the reverse order, their tanmatras, the subtle qualities are Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. So Gandha is the grossest, which goes along with Prithvi. Then comes Rasa, which goes with waters. Then there is Rupa, which goes with Teja. Then Sparsha goes with Vayu. And then comes Shabda, the subtlest of the elemental qualities, the subtlest of the tanmatras, and Shabda Gunam Akashaha. So Akasha is stated to have the quality of Shabda. Therefore, Shabda is the most subtle. Though it is most important, it is the most subtle of the elemental qualities. Truly, everything rests on Shabda. Upanishad says, Vacha Rambhanam Vikaro Namadheyam Mrittiketyeva Satyam. Everything starts with words. The objective world, the description starts with words and the speech. Otherwise, you make so many things out of mud, out of soil, out of clay, gata, sharava, etc., etc. But you break them into particles, the smallest of the particles. What remains? A handful of sand, handful of clay, handful of earth element. So, Mrittika ityeva satyam, and the various names which we give according to the shape and size of the object, it's all created from the word. Vacharambanam vikaro namadeyam. Vak comes in the first place in the Kenopanishad Shanti Mantra, where it is stated, may all my organs be developed, may all my organs be very powerful, and the most important and the subtlest of that is Vak, which is placed in the first place. Apyayantu mamangani Vak prana chakshuhu shrotramatho balamindriyani cha sarvani. So Vak comes in the first place. I will give you a fine example of a very interesting riddle, a puzzle in the Rigveda. It comes in the Asyavamiya Sukta, first mandala, 164th hymn, Sukta. There is a verse, Chatvari Shrunga Trayo Asya Pada Dve Shirshe Sapta Hastaso Yasya Tridha Baddho Vrushabho Roraviti Maho Devo Martya Avivesha. It is a description of a bull. Vrushabhaha Roraviti, he is yelling, bellowing loudly. And who is this Vrushabha? How is this Vrushabha? The description comes, Chatvari Shrunga. It doesn't have two horns as the phenomenal quadruped bull has. It has 4 horns. Chatvari Shrunga. So what could be the horse of this? Because here one of the interpretations of the Vrushabha is Vag Vrushabha. It is the Vrushabha in the form of speech, language. And the 4 horns are the 4 parts of speech, Nama, Akhyata, Upasarga and Nipata. The nouns, the verbs, the prefixes and the indeclinables. It has Trayo Asya Padaha. It has 3 feet. And what are the 3 feet? These are the 3 tenses, the past, the present and the future. Of course, Kala is Anadi, everybody knows. But these divisions are made by mankind for our own convenience, the past and the present and the future. It has 2 heads, Dve Shirshe. The 2 heads of language, bull, are the nouns and the verbs, the nominal suffixes and the verbal suffixes. Subanta and Tinganta. Sapta hasta saha yasya. It has 7 hands, 7 organs which can be stretched out. And these 7 organs are the 7 vibhaktis, the Prathama, Dvitiya, Tritiya, Chaturthi, Panchami, Shashti and Saptami. Tridha Baddhaha. This Vrushabha, Vag Vrushabha, is tied at 3 places. And what are the 3 places the language is tied to or it emerges from? Uras, Kantha and Shiras. Uras is our chest, then Kantha is our throat and Shiras is the head portion where all this cavity of the nose and this ENT cavity is there, ear, nose and throat. So Uras, Kantha and Shiras. Interestingly, this verse has many other interpretations. It can mean a yajna also, it can mean Onkar also. So there are multiple meanings, but the Vaiyakaranas, the grammarians, interpret this as a language. So Tridha Baddho Vrushabho Roraviti, this is the bull in the form of language. We saw the 4 types of Chatvari Shrunga, the 4 horns, as Namakhyata, Upasarga Nipatascha. But Vak as such, it is 4-fold. And it is Para, Pashyanti, Madhyama and Vaikhari. Para is the subtlest and Vaikhari is the grossest, the grossmost, the Sthulatama. Let us start from the Sthulatama Vaikhari, because that is the articulated sound, the most audible word in which the consonants and the vowels are clearly uttered. It is the manifested form of the Paravak. So this is the manifested form which is located in the throat, and throat is called the Vishuddhi Chakra. You can link it with the chakra theory, you can link it with the 3 types of bodies, you can link it with the 3 types of Shaktis. It occurs in the Sthula Sharira when we are accompanied by the Sthula Sharira in the Jagrat Avastha, in the waking state. Then the Kriya Shakti is activated, and that is how Visheshena Kham Rati iti Vaikhari. Kham, Kha means Indriya, Kha is an organ, Paranchikhane Vyatrinat Swayambhu, Kathopanishad. So Kha is an Indriya, Kha also means the space around. So Visheshena Kham Rati, Ra Dane, Ra is to give. So that which gives a specific connotation, a specific role to all these Indriyas is Vaikhari, because it touches our throat and then our rasana, our talu and our teeth and our lips. Just imagine the Kanthaswara, the Talavyaswara, then the cerebral phonemes, cerebral swaras, and then our Dantya, Lutulasanam Dantyaha, and then Upupadmaniyoho Oshtho. So the labial sounds, the dental and the labial sounds. So all these different organs it touches while coming out. The Vayu which arises from our Nabhi touches the different organs and comes out, and that is called Vaikhari. There is another meaning. Khara is Gharshana, it's a friction, and it presupposes the friction of the Vayu with so many Indriyas while coming out. And then it is articulated, manifested form of the sound. Then we come to Madhyama. Madhyama is the sound which is located in the heart, and it is active in the dream state, Swapna Avastha, and therefore it is the Sukshma Sharira, because we see dreams not with our this body, we don't see with our these eyes, we don't hear with these ears, but we have the Sukshma Sharira. So it is Sukshma Sharira, Jnana Shakti, and it can be linked with the Anahata Chakra because it emerges from the heart cavity. This is Madhyama, and it is stated to be Ikshana Kartri. It is an observer. It doesn't activate itself into any action. It is not Karya Shakti or Kriya Shakti. It is Jnana Shakti. It just is a perceiver. Ikshana Kartri. Then we come to Pashyanti. Pashyanti is far seeing. It is from Drishapashya, to see. It sees from far and it sees the farthest of the things. It is located in the Nabhi and it manifests in the deep sleep, the Sushupti Avastha. Sushupti Avastha has Karana Sharira and it is the Ichha Shakti, and because it comes from the Nabhi, it is linked, associated with the Manipura Chakra, which is situated in our navel. So this is Pashyanti. And then we come to Para, which is the most abstract form, the fourth stage, the Turiya Avastha. It is unmanifest. Vaikhari is the manifested form, Para is the unmanifested form. It is a Shariri Vak. This is a Vak of the nature of Nadopasana, the Nada, and it emerges from the Mooladhara Chakra. Mallinatha, while commenting upon a verse from Kumara Sambhava of Kalidasa, talks about 4 types of vak like this. Vaikhari Shabda Nishpattihi, Shabdana Nishpattihi Vaikhari. Madhyama Shruti Gochara, Madhyama is Shruti Gochara, Ye Hridayi che Te Hridayi. So, Shabde Vina Samvadu, that is Shruti Gochara, only heard but not spoken by the organs but heard. Shruti Gochara, or Shruti means Veda, Veda Gochara. Dyotitartha cha Pashyanti. Pashyanti is that which illumines everything. Dyotitartha. And Sukshma Vag Anapayini. And Sukshma, the subtlest Vag, is the Para. So that is how these 4-fold Vak are described by Mallinatha while commenting on Kumarasambhava's verse. I am reminded a friend shared one Tagore's poem with me and he tried to translate it into English. Srijit Datta, working in Rashtram, so he translated Tagore's poem, Madhuro Madhuro Dhani Baje. And then a verse from that I have picked up. I thought it is very relevant to the topic of discussion today. The Veena wielding reclusive goddess. This is the goddess Veena Vadini, reclusive. She is only one without the second. She is not in the company of anybody else. She is isolated. She is all alone. Veena Vadini, Advitiya. The very form of ambrosial speech. Amritasyandini Vak. She has the nectarian words. That brilliant golden rayed figure, Kanakabha Urjasvalasa. In what nook of being dwells she? Where does she stay? So the poet is asking her, Kasmin kone vasasitvam. Where are you dwelling? Where do you stay? Then he answers himself, in the midst of the lotus forest of my heart. Ritpundari kopavane vasasitvam. Come, O goddess, appear in this radiant light. Ehi bhasvare, ehi, come here. The very radiant light of the nature of radiant light, come here. Let me see you once with my own sight. Pashyeyam tvam svachakshusha. Do not remain hidden in the mind realms, in the raiment bedecked with shadows and spells. Manase me chhaya vasane ma gupta bhava. She is otherwise bedecked in the raiment. Raiment is, like a very shiny sort of clothing. It's all the outer form. In that outer form, let this speech of mine may not get, covered up, or let her not be hidden in that. So please come in the spirit of light, in the form of light. That is what Rabindranath Tagore asked this Saraswati to come. What a beautiful poem. I just had some Sanskrit words placed besides that English translation. After this, a prelude of what the speech is, the conceptual form of speech is, we'll see what is the Vak Sukta, because my topic today is termed as a concept of speech in the light of Vak Sukta from Rigveda. So let us see the Vak Sukta from Rigveda. Now Rigveda is composed by so many seers. This is for the sake of convenience I am saying. We can say Rigveda is seen by so many seers because they are Rishir Darshanat. Are there no Rishikas then? Are there no female seers? Yes, there are. Quite a few of them, like Vishwavara, Lopamudra, Shachi Indrani, then Sarama, which is Devashuni, Aditi, Surya, and Vak Ambhruni. Vagambruniya Sukta is Rigveda 10.125 Sukta. In the Rigveda 10th Mandala, 125th Sukta is by Vak. She is stated to be the daughter of Ambhruna. Ambhruna, Ambhas is water. So this can, be associated with the first word Saraswati, Saroniram. Tadvad rasaha asyaha asti iti Saraswati. So there are just 7 richas in that. We'll quickly browse through these richas. This is again a very interesting sukta because Vak herself tells something about her own self. So there are 3 types of richas in the Rigveda: Pratyakshakrita, Parokshakrita and Adhyatmika. Pratyakshakrita, when the poet, when the Kavi is addressing any deity, "Oh Indra, you are like this. Oh Vishnu, you did this," like that. Parokshakrita, when the seer describes Indra, Indro dadhar prithivim utadyam. Indra upheld, in the third person, when the deity is referred to, it is Parokshakrita. And Deva, Paroksha Priya Vai Devaha. Normally, the deities, they like the Parokshakrita mantras. But there are quite a few Adhyatmikyaha Richaha, where the deity herself or himself speaks about what they can do, what they achieve. So this is one of that. She says, Aham, in the first person, Uttama Purusha, Aham Rudrebhihi Vasubhihi Charami. I move about with Rudras, the Vasus. Aham Adityaihi Uta Vishvedevaihi. I move around with Adityas and the Vishvedevas. Aham Mitra Varuna Ubha Bibharmi. I support both the Mitra and the Varuna. Aham Indragni, Aham Ashvina Ubha. I support both Indra and Agni as well as both the Ashvina, the pair of Ashwini Kumar. So this is the Adhyatmika Richa. And Vak, it is stated here, these mighty gods, Rudrebhihi, it is the plural, there are 11 Rudras. Vasus, there are 8 of them. Aditya, there are 12 of them. Ashvina are 2. All these sum up 33 Devatas. So I am the sustainer of all these Devatas. That means I am the sustainer of the entire universe. I am so powerful, I can sustain the mightiest of all the Vedic gods. So gods are powerful because of Vak. Vak renders power or potential to them. Prowess is offered by Vak to all these gods. She sustains the mighty Vedic deities. Rudra, the continuation of the same verse. Rudra is the prototype of Puranic Shiva. Vasus are, the Dyauhu, that is the sky. Prithvi, that's the earth. These are the Pancha Mahabhutas basically. And then the sun and the moon. Okay, so these are the Ashtavasus. Then Adityas, they are the sons of Aditi. And Veda speaks sometimes of 7 Adityas, sometimes 8 Adityas. Puranas later on come with the Dvadasha Aditya concept. The names may vary, but Indra, Vishnu, these are the mighty gods of the Veda. They are also termed as Adityas. Then Vishvedevaha is a group of deities which is a collective name of all the Vedic deities. And Mitra is the solar aspect again. Mitra is a friend, and Mitra is regarded as the eye of the gods, and he is normally paired with Varuna. Mitra Varuna form a pair. Mitra is a Mithraic deity of the ancient Iranians as well, and many times we have this as an androgynous deity as well. Indra, of course, is the mightiest and the most powerful god of the Rigveda. Almost 250 out of 1054 suktas are addressed to Indra. Agni comes the next in line. 200 and more suktas are addressed to Agni. And Ashvina are the 2 sons of sun. and they are regarded to be the physicians of the gods, and they miraculously cured so many diseases, and they did plastic surgery as well. There are references in the first mandala 116 and 17, in the seventh mandala there are various Ashvi Suktas in which all these exploits of Ashwinis are described by the seers. Does she support only the gods? She supports the Yajamana. Aham somam ahanasam bibharmi, aham tvashtaramutapushanam bhagam, aham dadhami dravinam havishmate, supravye yajamanaya sunvate. I support the Soma. I support the Soma, which is, Soma is a Valli, Soma is a creeper, and that is pound, then it is strained, and that juice is offered to various gods. Indra is a lover of Soma. Indraya Indo Parisrava, there are certain verses for this. So, I support the beaten up or the invigorating Soma, the mighty Soma. I support Tvashta. Just now we saw in the first slide, Tvashta is the architect of the gods. It is also a solar aspect, and Pushan and Bhaga are also again the solar aspects. And I am the one who give the wealth and riches to the Yajamana who offers oblations. Now, Soma here could also mean relish. Soma could also mean rasa, and it is Vagvai rasaha. It is Vagrasa which is the most important. Okay? So, it is the speech that creates relish or Soma. Vak is something which is intelligence personified. Aham Rashtri Sangamani Vasunam. She says, Vagdevi says, I am the Rashtri, the queen. Rashtri is the Radni. Sangamani Vasunam, I am the gatherer, the collector of riches. I am the intelligent, wise one, Chikitushi, Prathama, the foremost, Yadniyanam, amongst the gods who deserve a yajna. Yajniya is the god, the deity who deserves, who is capable of being offered in a yajna. So, I am the first and the foremost among them. The gods have distributed me in different places so that I can establish myself at various abodes in the mouths of the people. Tadrishim mam deva vyadadhuhu purutra bhuristhatram bhuri aveshayantim. I am in them, I am in those people, and people do their vyavahara through me. This is like, Vasanad Vasudevasya Vasitam Bhuvanatrayam Sarvabhuta Nivasosi Vasudeva Namostute. So that is something like that. She is there. It's an all-pervading aspect of speech. It can also be associated with Bijam Mam Sarvabhutanam Vidhi Partha Sanatanam from the Bhagavad Gita, or Maya Tatamidam Sarvam Jagat Avyakta Murtina. Vak herself is Avyakta, unmanifest, but the entire cosmos is spread out, is created, is emerging out of this. And Matsthani Sarvabhutani, all the beings rest in me. Even the animals and the birds and the insects, they have some nada, they have some dhvani. So madhuro madhuro dhvani baje. Mayaso annamatti yo vipashyati yah praniti yaim shrunoti uktam amantavo mam ta upakshiyanti shrudhishrita shraddhivam te vadami. What a beautiful alliteration, Shrudhishrita shraddhivam. Beautiful piece of alankara here. Through me does one eat food, maya annamatti. One has to earn his food. For that he has to employ vak, his vani. One who clearly sees, he knows me. One who breathes, one who hears the spoken word. Without being aware, humans rest in me. Amantavo, mam upakshayanti. Amantavaha ajananaha, ignorant people, but they need my help every time. O famous one, Shruta, Shruddhi, listen to what I speak and trust in that. Believe in what I speak, because what I speak is trustworthy. Here the Vak, that entity, says that the humans don't realize my value. They reside in me, they can skillfully use me, but they most of the time they abuse or misuse me. They don't really know my worth. One who controls the speech controls the entire world. It is stated, there is some verse, I am giving you the purport of the verse. Rasana, that is the tongue, has a twofold activity. She can relish the food which we eat. If there is no tongue, we can't relish the food. And if there is no tongue, we can't even pronounce the words very clearly. We can't articulate the sounds very clearly. So one who controls rasana rules the world. One who controls what he eats and how much he eats, he controls the world. And one who controls his jivha, the speech, he controls everything. Once it so happened that this tongue, being surrounded by 32 or less number of teeth from all sides, they once mock at her and say, "What will you do, Dashamaha? We will bite you. Jivhe, kim karishyasi? What will you do?" And the Rasana says, "Padamekam vadishyami yuyam sarve patishyatha." I will utter only one word and you all will fall down. I will utter one bad word and the person who listens to that will kick you, will give a hard blow on your mouth and all of you will fall down. Padamekam vadishyami yuyam sarve patishyatha. So that is the strength of word, that is the strength of language or speech. Speech decides the types of people. From people who speak something, we can easily conjecture what type of personality the person has. Ahameva swayamidam vadami jushtam deve bhirta manushe yam kamaye tam tamugram krinomi tam brahmanam tam rishim tam sumedham. I myself proclaim that which is liked by gods and human beings. I make whosoever I like, a terrible warrior, a priest, a seer, or a wise poet. So this is, from their speech you can make out who they are. A warrior will love giving war cries. So from the war cries of a person, Hara Hara Mahadev, you can see, the Kshatra spirit, right? The regnum in that person you can easily conjecture, you can easily guess. He would speak in an aggressive language, a Kshatriya, martial power. A priest would utter sweet sonorous sound in the sacred mantras. A seer would see the abstract form, the para vak. Seer, he is the seer. Jo na dekhe ravi, so dekhe kavi. And apare kavya samsare kavire ko prajapati. He creates the world of his own, right? So from the seer would see only the unmanifested form of this abstract entity, and the wise poet can give an intelligent form to her. He can reshape the speech because poets are very creative by nature. Vak impels action for gods and men. Aham Rudraya Dhanuhu Atanomi. Rudra, the Vedic Rudra is Puranic Shiva, prototype of Puranic Shiva. He wields a bow and an arrow. Who does it for him? I do it for him. I bend the bow for Rudra, so as to enable him to hurl his arrow at a hater of the Sukta. Aham Janaya Samadam Krinomi. I make man glad or otherwise. I gladden him, I intoxicate him, or I make him furious. Mother has double meaning here. I have entered the heaven and the earth. This is the all-pervasiveness, the Shabda Brahma Swarupa. I have entered the heaven and earth. It is the speech which in reality has the capacity to break or to make. You can make, you can have, build relations with people by your sweet words or by one harsh word. The existing relations, our relatives, are severed forever. They are separated. So words could be hard and piercing, as fatal as arrows, to kill someone, separate someone from us forever. And they could be as soft like petals of a flower, and making people happy and enable and establish a permanent bond of love, compassion and affection between us. So this is the power of the word. This is the atmospheric thunder. We can skip this verse because we are running short of time, or I'll just quickly go through. Aham suve pitaramasya murdhan mamayo nirapsu antas samudre tato vitishte bhuvananu vishva uta amum dyam varshmana upasprishami. I create the Father on the top of this world. My abode is in the midst of celestial waters of the ocean. Here I create the Father. Her father is Ambruna, which is again the watery nature. I create the water. That means this is the lightning or the thundering sound in the atmospheric region, in the mid-region. From there, I extend to all created beings through the rain waters, and then touch upon even heaven with my body or with my greatness, with my Varshmana, amum dhyam upasmrishami. I can touch even the heavenly world. So this is the rain phenomenon which is given in this, and this vak here is the Madhyamika vak. It is called as Madhyamika vak. And what is Madhyamika? It is in the mid region, neither on the earth, nor on the heaven, nor on the terrestrial plane, nor on the celestial plane. It is the atmospheric plane. So that is the thundering sound. Ahameva vata iva pravami arabhamana bhuvanani vishva paro diva para ena prithivi etavati mahina sambabhuva. I move forward like wind. She is like water, we saw. Now here she says, vata iva pravami. I move forward like wind, touching all hearts, contacting all the created worlds. Arabhamana bhuvanani vishva. Beyond the heaven, paro diva. Beyond the earth, para ena prithivi. Thus far, etavati, I have stretched myself with my power, with my greatness. Mahina, mahimna, by my greatness. Aham sambabhuva, I have stretched out myself this far. You can compare this with the Purusha Sukta, etavanasya mahima ato jayansha purushaha. So here the vak is stated to be an all-pervading entity and transcending even the heaven and the earth. So Dashangulai, Atyatishthad Dashangulam. The Purusha created the entire thing and himself stood above 10 fingers. Dashangula. So similarly, vak is creating everything and yet she transcends everything. Speech is an oral communication. Now the sukta is over. We are coming to the concluding part of this talk. Speech is an oral communication articulated through our vocal cord. However, it presupposes the activities of brain, activities of mind, and that of the heart. How? Brain has the capacity to decide and determine. Brain is the seat of buddhi, and buddhi is vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana. And we have the Saraswati Stotra, Saraswati Rucha in the Rigveda, which says, Prano Devi Saraswati Vajebhir Vajinivati Dhinam Avitri Avatu. So She is Dhinam Avitri. She is the protector of the buddhi, of the intelligence, of the intellect. Thus, the brain activities are presupposed by speech. Whenever we are articulating something, unless the words come out of an impulse, we think what we want to say. Now I have thought what I want to say, and so this has the association with the brain activities. Then we think and imagine, and we arrange the words in a particular manner, so the mind is also involved in it, and the heart, being the seat of love and compassion, that is also involved. So Vak, though it is apparently only an oral communication, it is associated with our brain, our mind, and our heart. Our mind, it is said, Chodayitri Sundrutanam, Chetanti Sumatinam. See, she is the Chodayitri, the impaler of good words, and she Chetanti, again invigorator of Sumati, good thoughts. Good language presupposes good thoughts. The more good thoughts, the more good language. The more good words you speak, you think in a good manner. So, Chetanti Sumatina. One may engage in now people sometimes say, you are talking about the language and the importance of words and importance of language. Can't we communicate without language? Yes, we can. There are other methods. How, for example, the dumb and the deaf communicate with each other. There is an action language, right? There is an action language. There is Netra Pallavi, that is also the language of the eyes. Especially in the dance, we have various mudras and the apangas, kataksha, and we can speak, we can convey emotions through that. But sometimes the non-verbal communication may be misleading and may be ambiguous. The words give clarity to that. Language gives clarity, a distinctiveness, and therefore language is very important. Of course, sometimes the language or the words could be very straightforward and may be misunderstood. That time also it is likelihood that they are misunderstood, and therefore, you have to restrain rasana. You have to control your rasana. One has to control the rasana. We have to give more and listen. You have to listen more and utter very few. Shakespeare says in Hamlet, in the advice of the Polonius, to Hamlet, he says, give all thy ears but few thy voice. What a beautiful quote. You can listen to all, but speak only to a few who can understand you, who won't misunderstand you. And therefore, give all thy ears but few thy voice. Listen to all, but speak to a few. Vak is as good as Brahman we saw, Shabda Brahma, right? And Bhartruhari propounded this theory of Shabda Brahma. But sometimes Vak falls shorter to that Brahma, because Vak is also creation of Brahman. When we talk about the Ekameva Advitiyam Brahma, for example, in the Kenopanishad it is stated, Yad Vacha Anabhyuditam Yena Vag Abhyudyate Tadeva Brahmatvam Vidhi Naidam Yadidam Upasate. Know that to be Brahman, and not all other things which people worship as an object. That is not Brahman. Know that to be Brahman, by which the speech gets the power of articulation. But it doesn't have the power to describe that entity. That is Brahman. So Brahman is described in so many verses in Kenopanishad like that, That which gives the vision to the eyes, but that which can't be seen by the eyes. that which gives the auditory capacity to the ears, but that which is not heard by the ears, that which is not felt by any of our jnanendriyas. So it is indriyatita. It is agochara. Go is indriya. Agochara. It is beyond the grasp, beyond the realm of our indriyas. And the same thing in Taittiriya also comes, similar manner. Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha anandam brahmano vidvan na bibheti kadachana or kutaschana. From where, you start describing Brahman. How is Brahman? Brihadaranyaka would say, neti, neti. Brahman is like this? No. It is like Akasha to a certain extent. But Akasha is not Brahman. Akasha is like Brahman. Is it like Prana? Prana is like Brahman. It is not Brahman. So there are so many like these hypotheses which are turned down later, neti, neti. And therefore, ultimately in Taittiriya it is concluded, summated as this, yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasasaha. We saw the indriyas cannot grasp it, nor our vani, our speech cannot describe it. Our mind can't perceive it, mind can't. It is not manasa pratyaksha as well as yogi pratyaksha. Aprapya manasasaha. That ananda is Brahman. So speech becomes, speech is somewhere, it has a lacuna. For the Vaiyakaranis, maybe the Shabda or language, the words, and the Shabda Samuha is Vakya, and so many Vakyas is language, okay? Communication method is language. How can you define language? In hundreds of ways you can define. This is one of the ways. So speech becomes as if, incapable after one realizes the highest truth. And then, as Dakshinamurti Stotra, in Dakshinamurti Stotra, Shankaracharya says, Chitram Vatataror Mule, Vruddha Shishya Gurur Yuva. He sees a picture where beneath a great banyan tree, a very wonderful, striking picture he sees, Vruddha Shishya, the Shishyas are all elderly people, and Gurur Yuva, and the Guru, the teacher, is quite young. But is the Guru expounding on something and the Shishyas are listening? No, he is not saying anything. Gurostu maunam vyakhyanam. Maunam. He is not speaking anything. But still in that mauna, that silence is eloquent. Silence being eloquent is, like a contradiction, virodha. But still, many times, the silence is more eloquent than the babble of words. The Tower of Babel, right? So, gurostu maunam vyakhyanam, shishyaha chinna samshayaha. And yet, though he is not uttering a single word, the Shishyas are, devoid of any doubts. All their doubts got cleared. The strength of language, this is the Pashyanti, this could be the Para, where, the people can communicate without the articulated sound. This is Ye Hridayi, Se Te Hridayi. This is a heart-to-heart talk without uttering a single word. So, this is the speech. This is the concept of speech, which is very, very powerful, very potential, and so many hidden capabilities are there. Now, I have talked for almost 60 minutes, it's almost an hour now. So, before it is too late, I should stop. Gurostu maunam vyakhyanam shishyaha chinna samshayaha. Let me also adopt mauna and say namaskaram to you before I close. Thank you, Hari Om, for listening to this talk. Hari Om.